So should we start reading? You want to share this?
Yeah, sure. Manisha ma'am, you want to start reading first, or Jugdeep sir, you have anything else to share?
No, we'll Joy Learning Diaries we'll go to. I think that exam stress video is a great one to share because
Yeah.
it's, I mean, it's
I'll
seriously
share the
relevant,
screen.
right?
Go
Shall I
ahead,
share?
Manisha ma'am.
Is it visible? Is my screen visible?
Yeah, it is. Okay, so let's start. This is chapter 4. Anybody who would like to sort of tell us a little bit what we read so far? Anything you remember? Anything interesting? Any facts of this story that we read so far? Anybody? What's happening here? Oh, I can't see it anymore.
So just give me a minute, please.
Yeah, no problem. Anybody? Do you remember anything about Cinnamon? Why is his nickname Cinnamon? Anybody remember? Why is his nickname Cinnamon? What is his real name? Anybody remember? What is his real name? Cinnamon's real name? Put it in the chat or I'll mute. Anybody? Roshan? Not familiar? Roshan? Why was he called Cinnamon? Anybody remember any incidents so far? Lalita, do you want to try? I know you were there last time. I don't know if you were there before that, but you're in mute. Anything you remember so far of Cinnamon? Priyanshu? Remember anything? Rituraj, Priyanshu, Aditya, Shubhangi, Tejas, Harsh, Animesh, Samreen. You wrote a blog on Krishna and Karn. Samreen. Do you remember anything of this story so far? Gaurangi, good. Good to have you here. So what do we assume? You guys have not been listening? Don't remember? What do we assume? I've lost your tongue somewhere? Can't unmute? What's the story? Monrath? If you don't remember anything, say I don't remember. That also works. Samreen doesn't remember. You wrote a blog on Krishna and Karn. What was the background to that? saying she can't hear me clearly. So Shubhangi, can you hear me better now? Okay. So anything you remember? Why is his nickname Cinnamon? Anything that's happened so far in the story? Anything that you remember? Anything that,
Simamam. I remember Simamam.
yeah,
Simamam, you remember?
because you couldn't
Simamam.
pronounce it. That's why you couldn't pronounce cinnamon, and they use cinnamon in a lot of their food. So that's how he got the nickname. Anything anybody remembers? Shubhangi, anything of what we read so far? Anything interesting you remember? What did he do to avoid maths classes? Remember, what did he do to avoid maths classes? Some of you may have used that excuse of a tummy ache and then go. Okay, let's start reading, but I'm not sure what the purpose is if you guys are not remembering or speaking. Huh? Batman and Kosha Mangsho. What is Kosha Mangsho? What is Kosha Mangsho? Anybody Google it? Right. It's a Bengali delicacy, right? Normally, I think mutton curry. Maybe it's dry. I don't know. Mutton recipe. It's what first came up on a site called Bong Eats. Okay. From Monday to Friday, Meenabai ran the house, but on Saturday and Sunday, Ma took over. A barrage of loud instructions on Saturday morning showed that the weekly handover was in full swing. Cinnamon, once you brush your teeth and get dressed, come and help me grind the dry and wet masalas. Meenabai, please prepare the marinade for the mutton and the food for Sahib. Rishi, please load the washing machine and collect the clothes from the istriwala, she instructed. Yes, boss, remarked Baba. Meenabai, has the mutton been properly marinated? Have the onions, tomatoes, and potatoes been cut into small pieces like I told you last time also? Yes, I came the response from Meenabai. Did you pressure cook the mutton for at least 7 whistles? Yes, Sai. Did you make the vegetarian dishes in separate vessels? El Sahib will shout. Yes, Sai. She giggled at the idea of Sahib shouting at anyone. The weekend was also special for another reason. Ma always cooked the Sunday lunch. It was something that everyone had been eagerly awaiting for. While Meenabai certainly helped with grinding and chopping, Ma was the undisputed head chef. The menu consisted of a wide variety of dishes that included tamda or pandra ras, pork vindaloo or chingri malai curry, along with tasty vegetarian options for Baba. But a favorite, as well as Cinnamon and Meenabai's, was kosha mangsho. So tamda comes from tamba, which is copper. So it's a copper colored curry. Pandra is like a white mellow curry. These are all these are Maharashtrian, if I remember right. Pork vindaloo is Goan. Uh, Chingri is prawn. So it's prawn malai curry, Bengali. Okay. Kosha mangsho, we also already said it's a Bengali mutton dish. Of course, with Ma taking an interest in the house again, everyone had to jump around and make themselves useful. Ma dusted and tended to her bonsai plants. Baba did the laundry and Cinnamon folded and refolded the clothes in the cupboard. Meenabai used the mop vigorously till the house looked spick and span. Later that day, a Bansuri artist came home to teach Baba the flute, and Cinnamon went for football coaching and art classes. On Sunday, Manik dropped by. Manik went to the same drawing class as Cinnamon and was a year older than him. In the morning, the entire family, along with Manik, played Scrabble. Manik and Ma teamed up against Baba and Cinnamon. Initially, Ma's team was ahead. Then suddenly, Baba formed a long word. Cinnamon stumbled trying to pronounce that word. Discombobulate. Ooh, cheating, Rishi. There's no word like discombobulate, shouted Ma. She raised her arms and did a little jig. Our team wins. Do you all know a discombobulate? What does that mean? It means to confuse. Right? Bonsai. Everybody know what bonsai is? Literally, it means a tree in a pot. Everybody knows bonsai? Tree in a pot. When I found something interesting about bonsai yesterday. Which country do you associate bonsai with? Anybody? Which country do you associate bonsai with? Yes, Jasper. Actually, everybody thinks that bonsai is a Japanese word, but actually the art came from China. Absolutely right. Let's carry on. So they're playing Scrabble. Any of you played Scrabble? You know what Scrabble is? Right? Scrabble. Anybody played Scrabble? Shubhangi played Scrabble ever? Rituraj, have you played Scrabble?
Not much.
Not much, but then you know what it is, right? So, yeah, I mean, many years ago, I remember we used to play a lot, but haven't played it for a while. But it's certainly a game that will help you certainly improve your English and for sure. But also, it's a mental game because you have to keep putting. You have to try and get maximum points, right? And that depends on where you make words from. So it's an interesting game. So let's get back to this. There certainly is. Baba wiped his phone and showed it to her. She read it, twisted her mouth, put on an I am not impressed look on her face. Not bad. I see you have started the 1 word per day service on your phone, Ma said. You are not the only one who knows long English words, Mrs. Ghoshal. We Marathi medium students are not less than anyone. Eventually, Baba and Cinnamon won the game. At lunchtime, Cinnamon placed everything on the table, taking care that Baba's plate was kept well away from the mutton and fish. For Baba, there was shenga in black masala, which is peanut, slices of crisp bengan bhaja, and hot yellow varan, which is dal, with masala bhat, which is rice. Meena Bai didn't come again today? Asked Baba. Her Mame Bhau is not well, apparently, murmured Ma. What could be Mame Bhau? What could be Mame Bhav? Right? Mama, you understand. Bhav is brother. So I suspect it means cousin. Basically your mama's son who is your cousin. Again, boss, last week her Ajoba had some issue. Before that, her husband had a life-threatening ailment. Now her Mame Bhav is sick. It seems only men in her family fall sick, and that too only on weekends and public holidays. Rishi, we all need 1 or 2 days off a week. Please let it be. Look, your veg delicacies are here, Ma said, pointing to them with one finger. We lucky carnivores get to eat all this yummy stuff. What is a carnivore? And what is the opposite of a carnivore?
Jugdeep sir, your interns and school captains have also ditched you. They are also not speaking today.
Ah,
They're all back.
herbivore. Yes, that's right. But what is a carnivore or a herbivore? Everybody knows what a carnivore is, what a herbivore is.
Well, you found something out.
Yes, that's right. That's right, Rituja. Okay. Eat non-veg animals. Yeah. Mrs. Ghoshal, I am happy with my customers. Your stinky fish and goat meat don't tempt me. After such a sumptuous lunch, the only thing possible was to eat something sweet. Baba gave everyone his favorite sandwich ice creams as dessert. The crunch of hard chocolate with the soft melting vanilla inside was simply bliss. Baba and Ma retired to their room, and Cinnamon and Manik went to the flat's balcony. Cinnamon sat on the parapet while Manik sat on the chair in front. Cinnamon could faintly hear Ma snoring from the room and wondered how Baba could sleep so soundly despite the ridiculous racket. He filed it away in his questions to ask later folder. Ma made me put up a few clothes on the line a few days ago. It's already bad that she makes me it's already bad that she makes me cut vegetables, but putting up clothes, that too banyan and underwear, Cinnamon told Manik. Seeing that he had got Manik's attention, Cinnamon continued, now more animatedly. So what happened that day, Manikda, was that I forgot to clip the underwear properly. It was a very windy day. And you know how it is? Bed sheets or jeans don't fly away easily, but some clothes, Manik giggled, which gave Cinnamon all the more encouragement to continue with his story. I had gone to sleep after putting them on the line. When I woke up, I saw some clothes had been blown off by the wind. They had fallen in the drain behind the apartment building. It was so embarrassing to go and pick them up in front of everyone. Come on, Cinnamon. It was only your underwear. It's not something major, Malik responded. No, no, hear me out first. This wasn't the end of my misery. Two very small white VIP Frenchy underwear and one very big red and black check boxer with some Batman images on it were lying in the drain. Luckily, they were all dry. I know the small ones were mine and assumed the other one was Baba's. So I brought them home and clipped his boxer on the line. The next morning, Baba had to pack clothes for his trip to Ahmedabad, so he started taking the clothes off the line. I was in my room. That is when I heard him shouting very loudly, mimicking Baba's nasal, high pitched tone, which he resorted to every time he was very amused or angry about something. Cinnamon said, "Where the hell did those new Batman boxers come from? I never wear such funny boxers. Who brought this here?" I then heard Ma and Baba laughing. I thought both of them would die laughing. I heard Baba say that I must have picked it up by accident. Ma asked me later whether I had picked it up, but I kept denying it. It was way too embarrassing. Manik burst into laughter. "Cinnamon, Dumbo, don't you at least check before picking up things?" "Stop laughing, Manik Da. I really felt terrible." After a pause, Manik asked, "Champion, did you ever find out who it belongs to?" "I think it belongs to Prashant Bhaiya, our neighbor in 830. That chubby guy who's always talking on his hands free. You know him, right?" Manik nodded. No, Manik nodded his head. "He works in IT now. But how do you know it was his? Did you ask him?" "Well, a few days later, he came to give us his house keys in the evening when he was going out. He told Baba that there was a thief on the prowl in the society and that he could speak about it. He would speak about it at the next society meeting. He stressed that we need to have armed guards, biometric scanning, CCTVs, anti-terrorist software, and whatnot. Then he said the thief had come to his flat, but luckily had only managed to steal a pair of old boxers. Next time he warned it could be something much more important. What did Uncle say? What he always says. The way things are going these days, you can never tell what will happen. So be careful. So where is it now? Don't tell me you kept them. I don't know. It was a pair of old boxers and not the Kohinoor diamond or something. So anyway, we have strayed from the topic. What do you think why do you think my parents make me do so many chores? Let's just stop here for a minute. So let's see. Anybody, any words that you didn't understand? What is sumptuous? Sumptuous. Okay, so while you figure it out, I'm just curious. Sometimes, you know, this this is about Cinnamon. I mean, his parents know that he went and picked up the clothes which had fallen, right? And I assume they know. And it has to be him who brought those boxers. But he kept denying it because it was too embarrassing. I mean, how do you sort of feel about it, right? I mean, what do you think about it? I mean, do we do that many times? And we know that the other person also knows the truth, but and you're still denying it. I don't know. I mean, seems funny to do so, right? When you know the other person also knows, but you just still deny it. Does it happen to you? Does that happen?
Do we stay quiet, Jagdish sir? So often we see so much and we stay quiet. Why do you think we do that?
Sometimes you're quiet because you don't want to get involved in something for whatever reason.
That's true, actually. And that's the hard reality today in this world. Even in my good school today, everyone's quiet. Perhaps they don't want to do anything. How do you take that now?
So,
Jagdish sir, I'm going to ask you a question. What chores did you do at home?
what chores do I do at home?
That's an important part of the day.
Yeah. So now, anything to do with the building, I'm supposed to do. Now, today, voter cards have come. Now, nobody will go and get them. I will have to go and get them. Right? I mean, we have elections in Haryana on the 5th, right? So that those voter cards have come. But somehow I stay away from all the stuff that happens at home in terms of, if something, if something goes wrong with electricity or plumbing or something.
Haven't you taken the
Normally,
clothes off the clothesline sometime? I'm sure you've done that.
no, I haven't done it
No?
for a long time. I put put my towel on it sometimes.
So
But
let's find out how many people take clothes off the clothesline in my good school. Is there anyone who's ever taken off the clothes at home as a part of the chores? Yes or
I've
no?
done it in the past, but not recently.
Yeah, here someone is being honest. I have. Yeah, there are more people saying they have. So let's get a show of hands and say how many have actually had the experience of removing clothes from the clothesline. Let's take a hands up. And someone is to count.
Gorangi is saying yes. Yeah,
So quickly, let's do a hands up and see how many hands we can get that you've had to take off the clothes from the clothesline. Who's keeping a count? We are roughly 33 connections here. Of course, some connections we'll have to consider a large number because there'll be 30 people behind that. So let's see how many of us have done that. Okay, so when you are taking these clothes off from the line, yes, we have a sizable number of hands. Thank you, and that's called a chore. So when you are taking those clothes, did you ever drop them? Or they fell off your hand? Or the wind blew them off? Anyone? Now you can put your hand down and put your hand up again the second time. That this happened to you. The clothes dropped, they fell down on the ground, you messed them up. And what did you do after that? That was the next thing. Once the clothes got dirty, luckily Cinnamon's VIP Frenchies didn't get dirty, but the clothes you picked up, they got dirty. So what would you do? And this is going to be a reflection today. When the clothes fell off from my hand, when I was removing them from the clothesline. And let me see how many people can reflect on this today and actually tell us this experience of removing clothes from the clothesline, the clothes falling off, and what was the reaction you faced or your parents faced or your mom whacked you or your dad shouted at you, can't you hold the clothes properly? So that's a task for this week, Jugdeep sir.
Okay. So the other interesting thing that we've come across so far in this chapter is how life on the weekend is different from normal weekdays, right? So I can tell you, like in our house, my daughter will make pancakes, and that's what I had for breakfast today. Lunch will always be rajma chawal on Sunday. So there's some very standard things that happen which are different, uh, on a weekend. And now everybody sort of also got used to Sunday school, me being in Sunday school on Sunday morning and not coming into this room or sneaking in, sneaking out. But there are certain things which are very different on the weekends from normal days. Anybody want to sort of share what happens in their house, which is different from the normal working days? What is
Yeah,
different
Jugdeep sir,
for
another
you?
idea on this, that my Sunday at home or my Sunday at school. What do you say?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. So you can share it here. We have a minute or two. And then think of it this weekend that my Sunday, of course, you have come to my good school, but I'm sure there's something more you look forward to. Does anyone get to sleep Sunday afternoon? I love that. So what do you do on
Oh,
Sundays?
getting up late.
Getting
Sometimes
up late. Yeah,
get up late.
absolutely. Getting up late. Maybe some Sundays you go out on a picnic. Maybe some Sundays you eat something special on a Sunday. Or if you're in a boarding school, you have someone to come and meet you and take you out. Provided my good school lets you go out with them. I know a lot of Doon girls students are unhappy about Sunday school because it clashes with their outings. And that's why Gorangi doesn't come most of the time. So think about your Sunday morning. Think about it. Think what Sunday means to you. Like Jugdeep sir said, We have a menu on Sunday, and look at Cinnamon's life on Sunday. How difficult it is. Over to you, Jugdeep sir.
Yeah, for me, the worst thing that can happen on a Sunday is, if I have to go for a wedding or a prayer meeting or something, that's the worst thing that can happen to me on a Sunday.
Now or always?
Always. Well, now it happens now a lot, but what I mean is it hasn't happened for a bit, but uh, that's the worst thing that can happen. I mean, I think, because it just disturbs you're in a sort of little bit of a relaxed mode, right? And then you have to go and do this. It's like,
When you say relax mode, Jugdeep sir, does it mean that you don't look at the time on Sunday and just do things how you do them, or why you get into relax mode on Sunday? Why when we send Sunday, it means okay, we'll be relaxed. And if you look at the world today, there are countries where there is no Sunday or there is some other day off also. So why is the day off giving you that feeling of comfort or discomfort?
well, I mean, there's no work to start with, so I mean, nobody expects you to work, right? Thankfully, still. So it's not normal work. And yeah, there are times in the afternoon when, you know, I mean, I don't look at time. If I'm reading something or doing something, it's whatever the time is. Right? So yeah, sometimes it happens. So, that's when you really relax because, you're not worked up on the timetable.
So let's carry on with the chores, Jugdeep sir.
Okay, so the Kohinoor diamond. Anybody wants to pull out the history on Kohinoor diamond? Cinnamon said it's only a pair of old boxes, not Kohinoor diamond. So Kohinoor diamond, anybody want to pull out the history on Kohinoor diamond?
Jugdeep sir, you remember the history of Meher by Tata's diamond? We read about it
Yeah,
in the book
yeah,
by Harish Bhatt.
yeah, yep,
How
yep,
Meher
yep.
Bhai,
Tata stories, yes.
yes, the Tata story. We read about how the diamond of Meher Bhai was used to pay staff salaries, and ultimately she gave it up into the legacy. And then finally, I think it
Yeah,
was auctioned to build a corpus for the legacy. You remember
yes,
the story?
yes, yes,
Of
yes,
late,
yes.
there is a book out by Jamsetji, again by
Yeah,
Rajgopal and Harish. So I've
yes,
got in
yes,
touch with Rajgopal. I think we will have him come and read a story from it. I've just got in touch with him recently. So he also mentions a lot about the life of Meher Bai and how her simplicity and the story about the diamond. So when you talked about the diamond, it connected me there. Diamond also has something to do with Kashmir. It has something to do with India's history. So let's let people think. What is the significance of the Kohinoor diamond?
right. So, talking about getting in touch, by the way, I've got a line of communication opened with Kavita Bhupati Ghosh.
Oh, lovely. Bring her in at the Teachers Academy someday.
I told her, she said she'll happy to do it around Christmas. She's caught up in something now. Around that time, she'd be happy to do it. So,
Yeah, yeah. So that's a good time because we are concluding chapter 11 in November.
yeah,
So maybe
right.
December is a great time for her to come because teachers would have read the book. And that day
Yeah,
we can even have interns from here join us to meet her.
yeah.
That will be on Saturday, is that right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, because the teachers would have celebrated the book. Christmas may be a great time where we complete the book and we can then have a great discussion on the book. So we can have her in December. Go ahead. Absolutely. Go ahead. Is she still in Bangalore at the school?
I don't know. I don't know. I
She
didn't
was
ask her.
teaching at the Delhi Public School in Bangalore last when she wrote the book, 10 years back?
Yeah, yeah. No, I didn't ask. I didn't get down to asking her that.
So let's get on with the book.
Yeah. Okay. So Garangi is saying when I'm at home for breaks normally on Monday to Saturday. Garangi, why don't you read it? Why don't you just talk?
I think she's on a. There must be on multiple people on a screen.
Oh, I think individual. I saw her individual.
When I am home for breaks, normally from Monday to Saturday, I go to work with my father. But on Saturday nights and Sundays, I binge watch any documentary or any movie which I was planning to watch, or go to the stadium to play badminton with my father and my brother. When I'm home, every day is like a weekend. You said that's even a nicer one.
Yeah, that's what when we were in school also, went back home, that's what it felt like. Yes. Every home, every day was like that because, didn't really
So
matter
beautiful.
where.
Why don't you people put together these reflections and send them to Manisha ma'am? She'll capture them. And we can also do a common reflection on Sunday or holiday, whatever. Manisha ma'am, depends on the content and the number of comments she gets. She will create something out of it. What do you do, Jigsaw?
Right. Let's get back to this. Do you really want to know why your parents ask you to do so many chores? Manik asked. Cinnamon nodded. Manik dropped his voice to whisper and said, actually, your parents didn't really want a child at all. They just wanted someone who could do all the chores at home. They are then going to fatten you up and eat you up when you get older and fleshier, like cannibals or as it happens in the zombie movies. Why don't they hire someone to do the chores then? Cinnamon inquired. Why would they? You are totally free, Manik said, rubbing his forefinger and thumb to drive home the point. You better not gain too much weight, kid, or you will become fat and then they will eat you up faster. Cinnamon stared at his muscular arms and legs. Is that why Baba and Ma were feeding him so much? He also thought about Meenabai. She was becoming rounder and rounder. He had to warn her before it was too late. I will ask Baba and Ma about this, he said, mustering up whatever courage he had. No, no, don't do that, Manik screamed. Cinnamon was surprised. Why was Manik suddenly so alarmed? Later that evening at tea, he asked Ma, what's a slave? Wow, Cinnamon, your vocabulary is really improving. Tell me, Ma, who taught you this word? Manikda. He said, when you decided to get me, you did it because you were looking for a slave to do all the chores for free. He also said you were fattening me up because you wanted to eat me up later. Manik is a huge movie fan. Must have picked these ideas from there, said Baba, finally breaking the silence. Ma's nostrils flared. I've never heard anything more ridiculous than this. She pursed her lips till they became a dangerously thin red line. I will talk to him, Vasundhara, Baba said, and placed his hand on her shoulder. No, I want to, she said. Baba shook his head with a light smile. Let me talk to that dead Shana tomorrow and and set him straight, he said with a tone of finality. Cinnamon never knew how Baba set Manikta the following morning, but that was the last he ever heard of the joke. Manikta also became very cautious about saying anything in front of him. Later, Baba and Ma told him the more detailed story of his adoption. They sat together in his room and narrated to him. They both had photo albums with them. Ma opened the photo album. They had photos of him as a baby, swaddled in baby clothes. Those are the photos at the adoption agency, Baba said. Then he opened another album. These are the photos from the day you came home. They also explained how different children came into families in different ways and that there were many kinds of families, but all children were equally precious. Cinnamon liked hearing the details of how he was brought home, and in particular of that day he was brought home. he would often ask Ma, what was the day like when you brought me home? Like, how she would patiently tell him the story every time he asked. So, cannibals, all know what cannibal is? Funnily, in San Diego, there is a cannibal museum, and it's right opposite what is the California Tower. And if you buy a ticket for the California Tower, the visit to the Cannibal Museum is free. So I was there in June, early June, and in that area. So while we were waiting for a turn to get to the California Tower, we actually went to this Cannibal Museum. I mean, it's quite amazing that somebody's put had a put together a museum on cannibal. What are zombie movies? Anybody? Zombie movies. I have no idea what it is. What is a zombie movie? What is a zombie movie? I don't know. Anybody? What is a zombie movie? I mean, they are. I'm googling it. There seem to be some examples of movies. What does Wikipedia say? A zombie is a mythological undead corporeal revenant created through the reanimation of corpse in modern popular culture. Anybody, what is a zombie movie? An undead person that attacks and eats the flesh of living people is drawn from largely from George A. Romero's film Night of the Living Dead. I don't know, maybe you can find out what it is. Not able to get a clear answer.
Add it to a weekend reflection. What is a zombie
Yeah.
movie?
Yeah. So where will we? Okay. Dade Shana. Shana, is what over clever chap. So that's what it is. Pursed her lips. Anybody? Can you sort of picture pursed her lips, what it means? Many times we use, people are making these expressions and, we're not able to relate with them. So it's interesting to sort of, when I Googled pursed her lips, there were two different things. So it'd be interesting for you to actually Google and see which one you believe is actually pursed her lips, because she's doing it when she's really angry. With time, Cinnamon started feeling more comfortable about the fact that he was adopted. Baba and Ma took every measure to normalize the concept of adoption. Every year, the family celebrated World Adoption Day on November 9th. They also joined a group comprising of adoptive parents. Once a month, the group organized a get together and visited places of historical and cultural importance like Shaniwar Wada, Aga Khan Palace, Lal Mahal, and the Kelkar Museum. After interacting with so many adopted children, Cinnamon realized that being adopted wasn't something unusual. But every once in a while, somebody or something would come along that would bring out the negative perception that many people still had of adoption. One evening, when Cinnamon returned home from playing basketball with his friends, an intense discussion was going on in the living room. He saw, or rather heard, Sujit Kaka. Kaka lived in the society down the road. He dropped in from time to time, and Cinnamon always strategically dropped out at those times. I'm sure you must be doing that as well at home when you want to avoid somebody. Sujit, you can't generalize anything about this bakery blast last year. Investigation is still going on, Let's wait and see, said Ma. Kaka stabbed his index finger in the air. My dear Basundara, leave aside what media is saying. Let me tell you. He suddenly spotted Cinnamon and forgot what he was dying to tell her. Are champion, playing outside, eh? Remember me? He inquired. Cinnamon nodded to indicate that he did. Unfortunately, remember him. Handsome, I must say, my dear Rishikesh, you are quite lucky after all, you know. Aha. Lucky? Said Ma. He suddenly changed the subject. Acha, listen, Rishikesh and Vasundhara, we are going to have a very small get together at our home on the occasion of our parents' wedding anniversary, you know. Who's who of Pune will be there, you know. He handed over an expensive looking invitation card in Marathi. You must come, my dear, said Sujit. One of us will surely come, reassured Ma. No, both of you should come and bring along your adopted son. Don't leave him at home, he said with a chuckle. Baba put down his teacup and glared. Cinnamon suddenly knew what was coming. Sujit, would you care to repeat yourself? He asked coldly. I said, bring along your adopted son too, Sujit Kaka said mockingly. I absolutely don't appreciate your language. I must correct you. He is not our adopted son. He is our son, Baba declared. He spoke in highly chaste Marathi, which he used only when he was very angry. I don't wish anyone in this world to talk in that way about my son. Certainly not in my house. Now I think, sir, your family will be waiting, considering that you have such an important program planned. We wouldn't want to keep you. Kaka smiled nervously and beat a hasty retreat. Ma accompanied him to the door. Baba picked up the card and his eyes flicked over it. Sujit Gavadekar, Baba muttered. Insensitive donkey should be renamed Gadavekar. He then placed his hand on Cinnamon's shoulder and asserted, Cinnamon, don't let anyone ever make you feel ashamed for who you are, be it somebody your own age or any adult. Even within our family, nobody has the right. Nobody. Throw such people out of your home and your life. Ma, who had returned, threw the invitation card in the dustbin, and that was that. So, any thoughts on the chapter that we just read? Many different things here, right? But
Yogesh, so what I
more,
really found interesting
important-
was in this is that how honestly they are talking about this relationship amongst themselves. Whether it's about adoption or whether how they feel, how vividly they are describing it all and how sensitive the story has become at this stage. And if you look at it this way, that it's important for us today to have this kind of beautiful communication with our parents, this kind of conversation, this kind of relationship wherein we can all feel free to talk. Because I think today it's very relevant in this world where we are so much stressed and where we have so many challenges to have this kind of conversation. And if you look back your life, our conversations home were far deeper than they would be today for various reasons of challenges, time, commitments of the modern world, commitments or whatever. So these honest conversations play a huge role in our upbringing. What do you say, sir?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And, sometimes it may be just one or two conversations, but they will stay with you, They'll absolutely stay with you. That's the power of these things. That time you won't realize what it is, but later on in life, you realize what impact it's had.
It's like the story about Baba having to go talk to that boy, Manik,
Yeah.
and how the conversation and relationship changed between Manik and Cinnamon after that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, you know, what the other aspect that's coming out, which is important for everybody to take away, is that we all must have the quality of assertiveness, right? Uh, if you see any point that they come across where they find people are not doing this, they're not giving Cinnamon adequate respect and calling him adopted, they make it a point to intervene. They're being very assertive, right? And and his father is trying to make him the same way. Uh, you know, Assertiveness is a quality that it's very important in life. You have to, everybody has to be wary of their boundaries and protect them, right? You don't want to be, they didn't want to be run over, and that's why they keep making the point around this adoption part of it. So I think that's the other lesson that I take away from what we've read so far, especially today's chapter. Anybody else? Any other thought on today's chapter?
There's a message from Rishona Jugdeep, sir.
Okay, so why doesn't Rishona read it?
Okay, I'll read it. I believe the concept of how we should never be ashamed of who we are is so important in our life, because not everyone can like a person, but then again, not everyone matters. What matters is our thought about ourselves and our belief in ourselves, because in the end, no one knows us better than we know ourselves. So essentially, Jugdeep said, if you look at this powerful message, it's a very nice message. And I hope Rishona delves deeper and writes a thought about it. Like what you said, we have to stand up for our beliefs, and that's what learning and education is all about. If we can stand up for our righteousness, I'm using an interesting word, they can find out what righteousness is. That really is what I call learning forward, where you can stand up and be on your own thought and on your, and very, very clear. So if you look at this chapter, the parents are very clear about the relationship of the adopted boy, and they just chuck the card in the bin. It is very symbolic of saying they don't care. So, like you said, you have to have strong beliefs, and your strong beliefs really become your anchors in life. So, if you believe in something, please stand by it, because your inner belief is what will guide you. Going back to my guide inside Jugdeep sir, mind, consciousness, and thought. And that connects so well here, that if in your mind you are sure, it will model your consciousness, and your thought and action will accordingly happen. Thank you, Jugdeep sir.
Yeah, and that those lines from the book in the Teachers Academy, right, where Roma is telling uh, Rakhi's mother that you
Your
have to
mind and
tell
heart.
Rakhi, you have to tell Rakhi that you have to love the person you see inside the mirror.
Yeah.
You have to first love the person that you see on the mirror. So that just resonates with what I think what
Yeah,
Rishona was.
it is a very interesting story about mind and heart. If
Yeah,
you in Roma's story about,
yeah,
and
yeah,
she even talks to Raki's parent, even when she talks to
yeah,
the boy's father, the messaging she gives is very powerful.
yeah,
So if you see the two books and the way the two authors write, I see a fair amount of sensitivity for young people, whether it's in Cinnamon's book or in what they wanted, backbencher, last ranker teacher.
yeah. So thank you, Rishona. That was good. Would have been much better to hear you. I don't know if you've got a problem with your mic or what. I don't know. But
Jigdish sir, you want to play the
so,
podcast? How did I remind you? That little podcast.
yeah, let's
So just type learningforwardpodcast.com
I
and you can
did
play it.
have it open somewhere.
Okay, but I'm giving you a very simple answer. Just type learningforwardpodcast.com. That's the website for the podcast now. Podcasts are available independently on our website, learningforwardpodcast.com.
One
It
second.
just makes it easy. You don't have to remember where to find them. Learningforwardpodcast.com. So we developed a separate station for the podcast. It's independently will become one of our services as we go along.
Learning forward
Podcast.com.
podcast.
Learning forward is easy. You're looking for a podcast.com.
Yeah. I mean, it's making me press an arrow. So I press the arrow. But now it's taking me to Good School Journal and asking me to subscribe.
No, say no thanks. Say no thanks. And you're ready to go. You can share screen, Jugdeep sir, so that people can see all this.
Yeah, okay.
They can reach here. It'll be easy for them to reach here if they follow you.
I know. Should be able to see that now, right? You guys can see that?
Hello there. Welcome to another episode of Two Girls, One Mic. Today we will tackle life's little and sometimes not so little stress monsters head on.
Can you all hear
Yeah,
that?
yeah, that's clear, Jugdeep sir. We get it loud and clear.
I'm Simar,
And I'm Oshi.
and today we are diving deep into something we've all faced exam stress.
Yup, that dreaded feeling that sneaks up on you when you're trying to memorize an entire semester's worth of material in one night. Well, we've got tips, tricks, and personal stories to help you chill out and absolutely crush those exams. I have had my fair share of sleepless nights.
Same here. I mean, but we're here to tell you it doesn't have to be that way. We're going to share some personal stories about how we survived and even thrived through some exam seasons. Plus, we've got a couple of fun strategies that helped us, and we think they'll help you too.
Alright, so let's jump right in. Simar, what was your worst exam stress moment? I know you have had quite a few that you've told me about, but the one that still makes you sweat when you think about it.
All right, so picture this. It happened last year, and I had back to back exams, like three in a row. I remember waking up the morning of my physics exam, and my mind was completely blank. I don't know what happened, but I forgot each and every line in the book, even the three equations of motion. You know that feeling when you can't even remember how to spell your own name? That was what I was experiencing.
Well, as embarrassing and sad that is, we've all been through it. So, what did you do?
Well, at first I panicked because that is natural human to do in such a situation. Panic mode completely kicked in. I paced around in my room like a maniac for a solid 10 minutes trying to figure out what to do and where everything just went wrong. Then I had this crazy idea. I put on some music, like not just any music, but my old school favorite playlist and danced around for a bit. As ridiculous as it sounds, it got me out of my head. Suddenly, I was much more relaxed, and all the information I'd studied started coming back to me. I aced that exam, by the way.
That is great. So, you basically literally danced your way through it. Honestly, anything that can help you reset your brain like that is a win. For me, my personal story is that I used to hate history, and during my ninth grade exam, I had over, so many events, historical events, and dates to remember. and I was freaking out. History was one subject that I hated doing for the sole reason that I had to memorize so much stuff. I came up with my trick that was color coded notes, and I know it sounds nerdy, but organizing my thoughts with different colors for different periods helped me focus. Writing them, styling them, putting headers in a stylish and designed manner, adding borders, making it all pretty, I think that really helped me because I could see that this is all a story, this is like this, it was in my own words. Plus, the appreciation you get for making such beautiful notes, I think it just, raises the interest you have in that particular subject. It totally worked for me.
Well, that is genius. I wish I thought of that in my ninth grade instead of walking around in the room and cramming everything, each and every date, and every 5 marker, might I add. I bet it made everything so much easier to recall.
Totally. Plus, using bright colors made it feel less boring and it tricked my brain into being more engaged. Another thing I did was I would study for 25 minutes, then I would take a 5 minutes break. And during this break, I would do anything that I like watching television, grabbing a snack, or some light stretching. It made studying a lot less overwhelming and, it increased my, focus level as well.
Ah, the classic Pomodoro technique. It's a lifesaver. In 10th grade, when I literally had only 2 months left before the exams and I had pretty much wasted the entire year, I used that hack and it's a lifesaver. And I love that you rewarded yourself with snacks. A well timed cookie can do wonders.
All right, so we have shared our share of stories, dancing, color coded notes, and short breaks. But let's get into some universal tips for handling exam stress. Because let's face it, everyone deals with it differently.
For sure. Well, the first step from my side would be to breathe. Sounds simple, right? But when you're in the middle of a panic spiral, just taking a few deep breaths can literally calm your nervous system. I like to do the 4-7-8 breathing technique. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7, and exhale for 8. It slows everything down, it calms your brain, and it just becomes a lot more manageable for you in that particular situation.
Along the same lines, get some fresh air. Seriously, taking a short walk outside can help reset your brain, give you a change of scenery, and reduce anxiety. Plus, it gives your eyes a break from staring at those screens and books. Even if you think going down, and walking is a waste of time, it's not. It would, a fresh mind would just help you be more productive.
And tip number 3, break it down. Whenever I feel overwhelmed, I make a list of what I need to study in a prioritized order, like what I need to study first, what is pending, and everything. And then I tackle one thing at a time and tick everything out of that list. You don't have to study everything in a single go, just chip away at it. It makes everything much easier when you connect the blocks instead of trying to run the entire train at a single time.
That is great advice. I would add that it's important to talk to someone as well. When I was stressed about my exams, I would call a friend or even went to my sister. Just saying things or writing them and making a schedule can make them feel a lot more manageable because it gives you a sense that yes, I still have time and I have it under control.
I completely agree. And lastly, don't forget to take care of yourself. Eat well, get some sleep, and stay hydrated. Cramming all night is tempting, but if you're running on fumes, you won't perform your best. Well, all right, that's all the time we've got today. Hopefully, these tips and personal stories helped you feel a little less alone in the exam stress struggle. And I hope these tips and tricks also help you during the midterm season that we are currently in, right, Oshi?
Exactly. So remember you've got this. Dance it out like Simmer or make coded notes like me. Take a few breaks. Basically whatever works for you. Exams are tough, but you're tougher. And with this, we come to end of today's podcast. We sincerely hope you enjoyed it, and we would like to thank everyone who has helped us achieve the success of today's episode. Stay tuned for the next episode, same date, same time next month.
So, anybody, any other thoughts? What else you can do? Comments on what Hoshi and Simmer said? Does it work? What works for you?
Yeah, best
Any
they share
thoughts?
with us what works for them, Jugdeep sir.
Yeah,
That may be a good idea to reflect. Let's talk exam stress.
yeah. Okay, Sandeep, over to you.
Let's give Jugdeep sir a big hand. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the wonderful morning. We sum up the morning with talking about relationships, how we live in a family, how family is important for us to understand ourselves, to reinforce our beliefs. And yes, don't forget, it's not only family stress, there's exam stress. So you do have these challenges. So do share with us how you overcome these stresses you come across in life. Because when you share, believe me, you shed a burden. And that's why it's interesting for you to reflect. And like Jugjeep sir said, look into the mirror, you'll find an answer. So when you come here also on Sunday, you're looking into a mirror. So maybe coming here on a Sunday and looking at yourself on the screen will give you an answer. But please, it's most important to delve within. Look what I'm saying, delve within. All the best. Manisha ma'am, you want to change the book?
Yes, sir. Just 1 minute.
Yeah. So by the time Manisha ma'am is getting across on the book, let me share with you that currently we are reading The Hidden Life of Trees. And along with it, I am reading The Inner Life of Animals. So we are sharing that note about the book, and I also posted a reflection on the Joy of Learning diaries. So maybe it's a good idea that you people get hold of the book, The Inner Life of Animals. So by the time we finish The Hidden Life of Trees towards the end of the year, our next book is going to be The Inner Life of Animals by the same author. It's very interesting. The book will again help you delve within. From this morning's conversation, it's a very powerful book about reflection and behavior when we look into the lives of animals. Like we are looking at the hidden life of trees, there we are looking at the inner life of animals. And I, to an extent, found it even more powerful than just the hidden life of trees, because hidden life of trees is a great research on biology, on ecology, on biochemistry, on climate change. Likewise, that book, which is The Inner Life of Animals, is a wonderful story about showing you how animals are not animals the way we look at, but they have the same feelings like us. They have the same stress like us. They have the same lives and struggles like us. And we're all living beings. After all, we're also an animal. So thank you for listening to this interlude and this little commercial break about marketing. One more book to you. Enjoy reading. Get hold of The Inner Life of Animals. Tough customers. Back to the hidden life of trees. So why do trees live so long? After all, they could grow just like wildflowers, grow like gangbusters for the summer, bloom, set seed, and the return to humus. So in one sentence, he's described the life of a tree. Very simple. Bloom, set seed, then return to humus. And this is the story of life. A seed brings you to life, and humus takes you to dust. That would have one definite advantage. Every new generation brings with it the opportunity for genetic modifications. These mutations are most likely to occur during the mating and fertilization. And in a world that is constantly changing, adaptation is necessary for survival. For example, mice produce a new generation every few weeks. Flies are a lot quicker. Every time hereditary traits are passed down, genes can be damaged, and with the stroke of luck, this damage will introduce a particularly beneficial new characteristic. In short, this is what is called evolution. So how beautifully they've explained evolution here. Does anyone understand what evolution is? What do you think evolution is? Would someone like to share their thought about evolution? Find out what is evolution, what evolution means to you. What do you understand about evolution? It helps organisms adapt to changing environmental conditions, and therefore, Manisha ma'am, next page. Guarantees the survival of each species. The shorter the interval before the next generation, the more quickly animals and plants can adapt. Trees seem completely uninterested in this scientifically established imperative. They simply live to be ancient. On average, many hundreds, but sometimes even thousands of years old. Of course, they propagate at least every 5 years, but this doesn't really produce a completely new generation of trees. What use is it if a tree produces hundreds of thousands of offsprings if they cannot find any vacant posts to fill? As long as their mothers are capturing all the light, nothing much happens at their feet. As I've explained, even if the young trees exhibit brilliant new traits, they must often wait centuries before they can bloom themselves and pass their genes along. Quite simply, everything moves along very slowly. And you might expect this to put the trees in an almost impossible situation. If we look back to recent climate history, it is characterized by abrupt changes. A large construction site near Zurich shows just how abrupt. Workers here came across relatively fresh tree stumps, which at first they had set aside without paying attention to them. A researcher found them, took samples, and investigated their age. The result? These stumps came from pines that were growing there almost 14,000 years ago. Just look at that. Even more amazing, though, were the fluctuations in temperature at that time. In less than 30 years, the temperature dropped as much as 42 degrees Fahrenheit, only to finally rise again by about the same amount. That corresponds to the current worst case climate change scenario we could potentially face by the end of the 21st century. Even the last century in Europe, with the bitterly cold 1940s, the record drought of the 1970s, and the way to warm the 1990s were very hard on nature. Trees employ two strategies in stoically endure these changes: behavior and genetic variability. So there's an interesting word here, stoically. And there is something known as stoicism. Find out who was stoic and how we have used the word here. Trees employ two strategies to stoically endure these changes. I highlight the word stoically, please. Behavior and genetic variability. So there are two ways trees go about it. One, behavior and genetic variability. Trees exhibit great tolerance for variations in climate. So trees can overcome climate adversity. You will notice recently there were lots of pictures about flooded areas, but trees were standing everywhere at all. Not many trees actually start floating in flooded areas. They hold their ground. So they can take a lot of pain and gain from the environment. And so the native European beech grows from Sicily to southern Sweden. Apart from the capital S at the beginning of the place names, these regions have little in common. Sicily and Sweden. Birches, pines, and oaks are also very flexible. But this is not enough to satisfy everything they need to do when temperatures and rainfall fluctuate. Many animals and fungi move from south to north and vice versa. That means that trees must also be able to adapt to unfamiliar pests. So when trees go, now we're talking about variability, we're talking about behavior, and we're talking about how we have to be adaptable. Apply that to yourself. Apply that to what we have read this morning. How you should not lose your temper, how you should be sure of your belief, and how you should adapt to overcome circumstances. So trees can also adapt very much, and we humans have a lot to learn from the trees. The climate can also change so severely that if it falls outside the range of the trees can tolerate. And because they have no legs to carry them away and nowhere to turn for help, they have to adapt so that they can deal with the situation themselves. The first opportunity to do this comes at the very early stage of life. Shortly after fertilization, when the seeds are ripening in the flower, they react to environmental conditions. If it's particularly warm and dry, appropriate genes are activated. Scientists have proved that under these conditions, spruce seedlings are better able to tolerate warm weather, though they lose the same measure in frost resistance. Mature trees can adapt as well. If spruce survives a dry period with little water, in the future, they are markedly more economical with moisture. And they don't suck it all up out of the ground right at the beginning of summer. The leaves and needles are organs where most water is lost through transpiration. If the trees notice the water is in short supply, the thirst is becoming a long-term problem, it puts on a thicker coat. So what will happen when a thicker coat is formed on the leaves? Anyone wants to take a guess? So when we read the sentence before this, the leaves and needles are the organs where water is lost through transpiration. If the trees notice that water is in short supply and thirst becomes a long-term problem, it puts on a thicker coat. So my question to you, why the thicker coat and what does the thicker coat do? Someone wants to talk about it? Why do you think the thicker coat is formed? And what is the role of the thicker coat on the leaves?
The tree has decided to stoically deal with the issue.
Yeah, a good one. And what it really does with this stoicism, that it controls transpiration. So often when you read, and it's important for you to get this art of reading, the question and answer are both in the content. So in the previous sentence, why I read it again was it was about transpiration. And the next sentence about thicker coat. So thicker coat is actually connected with transpiration. A thicker coat will reduce transpiration. The tree toughens up the protective waxy layer in the upper surface of the leaves. The walls of the cells within the leaves keep them watertight, and the tree increases the thickness of the cell walls by adding extra layers. As the tree battens down the hatches, however, it also has a harder time breathing. There's an interesting phrase here. As the tree battens down the hatches. Can anyone tell me what this means? Battens down the hatches. Think about it. Find out what this phrase means and reflect over it. As the tree battens down the hatches. Take a guess. What do you think it means? Just wild guess. Don't try to get a meaning. See what the story is trying to convey, what the author is trying to convey to you. Battens down the hatches. What are hatches? What do you think are hatches? Let's try and decode this without looking at or Googling. What do you think are hatches? Let's try and understand this. Can anyone tell me what hatches could be? Think. What do you think a hatch? Come on, there are like almost 100 people here. I'm sure one in 100 can tell us what hatches could be. Rishona, Varangi, Shubhangi, what do you think hatches are? Yugjeev sir, you're Googling, I know that.
No, I googled it earlier. What it means. I mean, it's if you stay with the subject, it's very clear as to what it is, right?
Yeah.
Hatch is that thing you pull down, right? And it's a covering for.
So it's like
batten
trees trying
down
to
the hatches.
close the, yeah. It's like you pull a chick down to control sunlight. So what the tree is doing, it's battening down, which means it is closing the hatches. That's what this phrase means. And what are the hatches it's closing? It's closing those gaps which let light come in to reduce transpiration. It's adapting. So it's a behavioral change. So there will be less
Preparing
breathing
for
and there'll be less
preparing for
effort.
a crisis. Yeah, that's what it means. Batten down the hatches,
Yes.
basically preparing for a crisis,
Preparing
for
for the
trouble.
crisis. So if you look at today, Jugjeev sir, how is the world today in this situation? Battening down the hatches. So if you look at, let us say, we all read news every day and we see conflicts everywhere. Of late, of course, the conflict in the Middle East has been of great news here and there. How do you think a country like Israel or how do you think Hezbollah are actually battening down the hatches? How does this connect with what's happening on the world today in various places?
Well, I mean, Israel and Hezbollah are in it, so I mean, they're in the crisis. But
Yeah, so they're both literally batting down the hatches. They like to control the other person's, limit the other person. Am I right in
yeah.
saying the phrase like that? They're trying to limit the other person.
So over the last few years, the world, at least from the economic point of view, has been looking at localizing supply chain, China plus one. Those are all examples of preparing for the next crisis, where like what happened when we had COVID, right? And the aftermath. I mean, things couldn't move around. So that's one example of what industry is doing and different countries are doing.
So Jugjeev sir, look at the lockdown. Battens down the hatches. Did we achieve something out of the lockdown? Batten down the hatches.
Yeah, I think that people got to see another side of life which you'd forgotten, frankly. Right? I mean, and also then because you've been through it once at least for us now, mentally you're sort of feel you're in a better position to deal with something like that when it comes again, if it comes. Hopefully not.
Absolutely. It's like when you go to a cricket field, to avoid a bouncer, you wear a helmet. So you are battening down the hatches of getting hurt. You will put on other protective gear. You are battening down the hatches to protect yourself and adapt. So this phrase really essentially focuses on adapt. So the tree adapts, the tree behavior, that's the beauty of it. Once a tree has exhausted its behavioral repertoire, very interesting word, REPERTOIRE. Once a tree has exhausted its behavioral repertoire, genetics come into play. Can anyone guess what repertoire could be without looking left, right? Think it over. Find out what repertoire is and try and use it in a sentence as a part of reflection. As I've just mentioned, it takes an extremely long time to produce a new generation of trees. This means greedy adaptation is not an option, but other responses are available in a forest that has been left on its own devices. The genetic makeup of each individual tree belonging to the same species is very different. This is in contrast to people who are genetically very similar. In evolutionary terms, you can say We are all related. In contrast, the individual beeches growing in a stand near where I live are as far apart as genetically as different species of animals. This means each tree has a different characteristics. Every human is different, every tree is different. Some deal better with drought than cold. Others have powerful defenses against insects, and yet others are perhaps particularly impervious to wet feet. Impervious. Very interesting. And yet others are particularly impervious to wet feet. Note this word. If climatic conditions change, the first individuals to die will be those that have the hardest time dealing with the new status quo. A few old trees will die, but most of the rest of the trees will remain standing. If conditions become more extreme, one tree species could even be decimated without this being the end of the forest. Usually, a sufficiently large number of trees remain to produce enough fruit and shade for the next generation. I made a calculation for the old beech stands in the forest. I managed using available scientific data. Even if we were to have a Spanish-style climate there in Hummel sometime in the future, an overwhelming number of trees would cope. Hummel is the place where the author stays. And Spain and Germany are way off in climate. So he says even a Spanish type of climate comes up to Germany, the trees will adapt. The only proviso, find out how you can use this word. The only proviso is that the social structure of the forest is not disturbed by lumber operations, so that the forest can continue to regulate its own microclimate for itself. So this is a very important closing sentence. When it comes to lumber, and when we in our greed cut trees way before they mature, where we cut them, they can't support each other. So the entire opportunity for the trees to behavior and adapt is lost. Because behavioral change and adaptation comes when you have to batten the hatches, when you have to come over challenges. I'll give you a simple example. I had a fall about 4 or 5 weeks back, and it was quite a nasty fall. And I realized my body, despite the fact I broke some fingers, has slowly adapted to a change finger stance, to a change hand stand, and I can just about do everything. So often we get injured, and then we learn to heal ourselves, and we adapt. We adapt to changes in body. So if you look at, my name is Cinnamon. Adapt and adopt. So when you adopt, that also is an adaptation. You don't have your own genetic line, you adopt a genetic line. And the beautiful part, you will notice how my friend Cinnamon takes on the behavior and habit in the new habitat. Don't you think, Jugji sir, is a classic example? He comes from a different habitat, and he is brought up genetically differently by a different set of parents. And how he adapts in life, how he actually battens the hatches, how he closes in to adapt and accept the food his parents make, the culture they are in, and how his life actually starts revolving around a new world altogether. Isn't Jugji sir beautifully connecting all the stories and all we are reading together? How trees like us adapt, how trees like us adopt, how trees like us have to struggle, and how we also have to struggle and be what we are under stress. You have exam stress, so trees also have an exam stress
Recording
when the season
stopped.
changes.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
that's
I
it.
found,
So,
what I found
yeah.
very interesting, what the author says that the genetics are not necessarily the same, even though it's a birch tree. Different trees may have different genetics, even if they have the same variety, which is very intriguing.
Yeah, it's so unique. Now imagine the DNA of every tree, or it's quite like humans, because you and me, everyone, no two people have the same genetic strand in the world.
Yeah, but there are some commonalities, right? If you have Asians, you have Africans, you'll have people from different areas. They have some things in common. What he's saying is that, a birch tree may be different and individually may be different from another birch tree, which was like, well, quite, I found it
Yeah,
very,
that's
very
very
intriguing.
fascinating. That's
Yeah.
very, very fascinating how these two things about genetic and behavior model a
Yeah.
specific tree's life.
Yeah, and he's put it very well. After your repertoire of behaviors run out, then you move to the next one, which is around genetics. But the other thing around this part was around patience, right? They're in a long game, 100-year-old, hundreds of years ka game. So they're in no hurry. Like the children are saying, we'll get our chance, yeah. Lie low right now. So I mean, it's quite amazing. Many times, we because we are impatient, you make mistakes. You haven't got a longer term game plan in place, and you are very eager to move ahead, and you end up doing the wrong thing just because there is that thing of moving ahead in everybody as a human being. You want to just get it over with fast. But many times it's about patience and hanging in there and letting things play out. So well, that's the other thing that struck me.
Yeah. Perhaps someone heard this message recording stopped a little while back. That's simply because my friend Otter only comes for 90 minutes. Then the fellow gets tired. He walks away. So that's why the message comes. Then he goes to write his notes down and he has them ready in the next half hour. So that has a limit of 90 minutes at a stretch. So they lose their breath, I think. They need to program them better that they can go on longer than 90 minutes. Or maybe he gets bombarded with too much information in 90 minutes. He has to quickly go and make it together. So I thought I'd narrate this humorous thing about recording stopping at 12 normally. Well, it also has a message that at 12, it's not business as usual because we've almost completed our reading and reflections. We are now here in the last part of the session. So a major development this week, Jugjeev sir. As we started planning for the retreat, things started falling in place. So we realized that it's not just the retreat, and for us, you, me, everyone, it's about giving. So biggest message of nature is about giving. It's about service, which is the first S of My Good School. So we other day went down, Devgan sir and myself, to the Rajaji National Park, and we thought we'd visit the site where we are planning the retreat. And when we went there, there's a farm. The farm is like 1,500 acres of land on the edge of the Rajaji sanctuary. You can't even walk it, absolutely. And there were wild elephants there the previous evening. Of course, the humans there have adapted, the animals have adapted to be with each other. So we went to this farm, we saw the property, we think it's a great place for the retreat, which we are planning this year. Then it struck us that maybe we should try and make this an annual feature, because every year a different set of people come. And for us, if we can put the logistics together, and like some of us were here at the last retreat. The retreat in Dehradun is a great fun idea. And a lot of you gave us a great feedback about the Khan farm. So I, for the first time, actually visited the Khan farm. So when we stayed there and we saw nearby, Khan farm is also supporting a village school, which they've set up. And earlier in this session today, I mentioned to you Arthur Edward Foote. So Arthur Foote was the first headmaster of the Doon School. And Asad Khan is from the Doon School. His brother is also from the Doon School. His brother, unfortunately, in his young age was shot because of some political rivalry between the friends. So what they decided that to live his legacy, and Afzal was very fond of basketball. So there is a basketball tournament. And then Asad decided that he will nurture a school with the spirit of giving and living in the society. So there is this forest nearby, which means they love the environment. There is no shooting, there's no hunting. Yes, there is fish in their own ponds in the farm. That's a different story. You can pick them up. Then on the farm, we have a whole ecosystem of lives and living. There are dogs living there. There's a whole lot of people living there. And the farm virtually runs a 24-hour kitchen, Jugjeev sir. So anytime anyone comes to the farm, gets a meal there. So I thought that was an exemplar method of showing people that how the whole ecosystem lives, how they're so self-sufficient. They grow everything there, they cook everything there, they eat everything there. They don't even need going to town to buy their provisions because they're able to grow sustainably whatever wheat they need, whatever rice they need, whatever dals they need in the farm. The mainstay at the farm is the mango growth. So there's about 800 acres of mango orchard. That's their main cash crop. Then along with that, we saw they were using those fruits for making jellies, guava jelly, mango jelly. So they were doing all that. But the beautiful part is none of this is used as a business enterprise, but more for the community. Whatever is made is consumed by the community. So what I saw there was a biomass of a system which sustains itself. And then what they do is in the nearby village, they set up this Arthur Foot School some years back, a preparatory school. So we thought at the Learning Forward Foundation, we will go this Children's Day and celebrate Children's Day at the Arthur Foot School and see how, being a part of Good School Alliance, we can together learn and grow up with children there. And the best part, at the farm, they have a geo mobile tower, so they are connected. So at the farm, they have connectivity. So we are exploring possibilities of how we can have them join us in the next year online and actually share a ground report up of lives and living of people in that area. So I think this will add phenomenal value to what we do amongst the two schools, amongst the students, amongst community as such, as a Learning Forward Foundation and the Good School Alliance. So in the coming week, we are hoping that Manisha ma'am will go spend 2-3 days there and have a better understanding of the school. So what I am now coming to the point is, let's all earnestly think how we can help the school. You know, the school needs any kind of help, honestly. Of course, the structure is there. Yes, they need teachers. Yes, they will need stationery. Yes, they will need things which we have and they don't have. So as we go along in the next 1 year, we'll find ways and means how we can do some kind of sharing, learning from them. We will learn from them and share with them. And likewise, they will share their lives and learning with us. So I just wanted to sum this story up. And towards that, we created the first website, arthurfootfoundation.org. So whether you type org.com in, it will all go to Arthur Foot Foundation. This week, I also connected with Arthur Foot's son. I also connected with Arthur Foot's granddaughter. They are both in UK. So they support this, they like this, because the legacy of the Arthur Foot Academy is being nurtured by people who have a connection with this sense of service, with this sense of belonging. How in the year 1935, Arthur Foot took this journey from UK to come and become the headmaster of a school, and how he handed over that school to John Martin, and the school grew to where it is today. So after this trip to the farm, to the school, you will end up the Doon School. So it's all interconnected as a story. So on the last day of our trip, we will have lunch at the Doon School and actually read this particular quote, which you see on the Arthur Foot site of the school, which we have made, about an aristocracy of service. I think us setting up the Learning Forward Foundation is a very, very minute extension of this idea of aristocracy of service. And Jugji sir, you and me understand what service meant to us at school. And I think that's what made us what we are. Not that we did a curriculum of CBSE or ISC, but this whole sense of belonging and being with each other, it helps us sustain, it helps us adapt, it helps us overcome so many challenges and stresses. So that's it, Jugdeep sir. Any questions you want to ask?
No, it's very fascinating. Looking forward to this. Yeah.
So thank you. Now what we do in this next week, Jugdeep sir, we'll try and firm up the plan. The draft of the plan is kind of structured. So Manisha ma'am is talking to the interns, and we are hoping that this week the program will be final. So next Saturday, when we meet 4 p.m. for the GSA meeting, we should be able to then go ahead and promote and do all that. Yes, there's a cost per head in this whole exercise. It's a very expensive proposition for us to run this retreat. We will do whatever we can from the foundation, but there will be a per head cost. It costs about 2,000 to 3,000 rupees a day to host us on the farm with the logistics there and travel there. So there is a cost involved in all that. And there is a lot of cost coming on us in terms of the experience of taking you to the Doon School, hiring transport, doing all the logistics. So we are working all that out. We have shared some tentative figures with the retreat team. So this team is working on all that, and soon the marketing program will start next week. But my request to all of you is that I think you should find ways and means to visit these places, do things like this once in a while. It's a great learner. I know it's only 4 days and 3 nights, but it's a phenomenal learning experience. There will be service there. There will be skills you will pick up. There will be sport. We'll play games on the farm. There's lots to do there. We'll have a soccer match, inter-school or something there. And above all, we've invited a very interesting person to join us for this experience. If you Google around Amit Sachdeva, Amit Sachdeva is the one who did the drafting of the CSR bill, which in 2013 became part of the Companies Act. So Amit is the one who actually was responsible in helping companies come together on a draft of a CSR bill. So we found him, and Amit Sachdeva has agreed to come and spend a day and a night with us. So he will be with us all of 14th, night of 14th, and come back 15th. So you will get a chance to meet a person who, for me, is carrying the legacy of the Mahatma. So Amit is a firm believer. We talked about beliefs. He's a firm believer in the life and works of the Mahatma. And Amit also set up something very interesting. He set up the Mahatma Awards for the world. So he tries to find stories which have done phenomenal good, which are carrying forward this idea of Shramdan, which are carrying forward the philosophy of Gandhi, of a simple life. So he will be with us. We will have a lot to say. Shubhangi, you put SRCC. Now, what does that mean? You can type out, I'm confused. SRCC.
Shriram College of Commerce.
Okay, lovely. So Amit Sachdeva is, you can look for him. Just type amitsachdeva.com. You can even, I'll tell you what, let's discover this fellow. A very interesting guy. Find out about him. Let me try and tell you more about him. Find out about this man and the story behind Amit Sachdeva. Maybe you can do some research. When we make a brochure, you can write about him. The brochure for the retreat will soon be prepared. And once the brochure is prepared, we will be able to share a lot more with you. So we will do it in this coming week. Let me see if I can share screen and actually, yeah, Chrome. Share. Okay, so here we are. For some reason, it's showing a blank share. Let me see how this works. Jujeev, can you share your screen? Yeah, I got it. Okay. I think it was looking for Amit Sachdeva. So first we will go to the school. Yeah, I'll share screen. We will go to the school and then try and show you all the excitement. Okay, so what we will do, we will where did that say that? Okay, yeah, sorry. Okay, just continue to the site. That's just a false alarm. The site is secure. We'll put a S here. Jujeev sir, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, so this is the story of Amit Sachdeva, Jujeev sir. So he talks about together we can change the world. And every year on 2nd of October, he brings together corporates from all over the country. He's supported by Rajshri Birla. So find out who this gentleman is. He's a constitutional lawyer and he's also known as a CSR Man of India. Amit has gone back now. He's doing a second master's in environmental law. So he's hoping that in the next year or so, he will become an environmental lawyer. So he's still studying, which is absolutely fantastic, which for us is a great example of learning forward. That how you adapt, how you grow, how you go ahead. This is the man we'll meet. So Amit Sachdeva is the person. He will be there. There are some initiatives about his mentioned on amitsachdeva.com. And he's also set up something known as the Mahatma Awards. Now, Mahatma Awards happen every year. They're supported by a large number of corporates. Biggest one, of course, is the Aditya Birla Group. And these people identify stories and good work which is being done. So this is the person who is our guest of honor at the retreat. Now, when we go there, so we will go back to schooleducation.com. We are back to our website. We urge you to go to the website once in a while when you get access. I know you are in a boarding school, you don't get access to computers and internet always, but whenever you get a chance, go here. We are highlighting the retreat here now on the home page to drum up some excitement. The retreat is also highlighted. The interns from the last retreat pop up on the first page on the thumbnail of the video. They're inviting you. Are you going to be there? And this is where we mentioned a little about the story about the Arthur Foot Academy, which I was telling you. So what we found very interesting was there's some shots on the farm. So what we are asking you, let's join forces with us to strive to achieve the ultimate goal of life together, which is joy of learning. So here we have given you the quote of Arthur Foot. I want to read this little small passage and then close about the retreat. In honor of Arthur Edward Foot's ideals, a dedicated group of teachers and old boys of the Doon School joined forces to create a lasting legacy for their first headmaster, the Arthur Foot Academy. The Academy is committed to providing a well-rounded education to the children of Bandarjud, a small village near Dehradun. As members of the Good School Alliance, the Academy is committed to nurturing each student's personal and social growth, focusing on service, skill, sport, and study. The school's mission is to prepare students to face the world confidently. We are powered by the Learning Forward India Foundation, a pioneering school culture transformation agency. We spread the joy of learning by empowering passionate educators, teachers, and students with the vital skills of reading, reflection, and building solid relationships. So this is what will happen. There are some very interesting pictures about the school, about the life in the village, this little school. And Manisha ma'am is now going to the little school in the coming week. We'll have a better understanding in the next 2 months about the school, about the project, and what we can do together. The map and the location for the retreat and the school, it is the same location. The school is on the edge of the farm. It's right below. So you can go explore and find out. You can change the map into physical form. You can change the map into a relief map and see the location. Then next week, we will tell you as to what you can prepare to go for the retreat. When you come to the retreat, you may come with your skills, your dance, your art. You may come and practice that there, show it to people, teach children. Likewise, you will pick up some skills from the environment which you can take back. Over to you, Jugji sir, for questions.
No, we should ask if anybody else has questions.
Yeah, questions from anyone?
Questions on the retreat, or should just use. Otherwise, we should just close if nobody has any questions. I hope people are going to be coming from this set of people.
Absolutely.
It'll be great to meet with them.
Jugji sir, message about reflections. I think now that exams are over, we hope more reflections will come. Shubhangi, you want to add something, beta?
No, sir, I'm just looking for the retreat, all things to become, and then actually I want to be the part of retreat, so I'm waiting for that.
Yes. So what you should do, Shubhangi, at your end, send a message across to all the interns. I'm very keen that the interns and the fellows come to the retreat. I had a word with Paul sir also. He thought this was a great idea. It will give us a meaning to our internship. Because when we meet physically, and Jugdeep sir has done this before with us, we take back a lot of confidence and courage to do things at our end. You know, Kunal, I don't know if he's here or not. Kunal is a find from a retreat only. He took the courage of coming all the way to a retreat, and he's become a fan. There's so many of us who are there in the group, in the
Yes,
Telegram
sir.
group, who are actually planning the retreat with us. So do give this message to everyone. That's what you can do as an intern in the coming week. Spread the word about the retreat. Tell your stories, quote part of the stories I've said. And the web elements are there. You can use the website and details like that. In the next 1 week, as we go along, the program will be sorted out. And once Manisha ma'am has been to the school and come back, I'm sure there'll be a lot more she can share with us. Maybe, who knows, we may be able to soon see those children on our screen very soon on a Sunday morning. We are hoping that will happen once they're able to get some equipment installed in the school. They need some equipment in the school. We'll see how we can work out. And on a simple note, just a little mention that on 30th of September, it's the close of the financial year. So you'll be happy to learn that the Learning Forward Foundation that put together the Good School Alliance has got a modest cash surplus of 4.5 lakhs. So Jugdeep sir, our operating cash surplus this year is it's actually 6 lakhs. And we can actually put together 4.5 lakhs, which is 85% into a corpus fund. And we are putting this corpus fund into a fund called the My Good School Retreat. And we'll see what we can do with this money at the retreat, how we can support the school, how we can do something for the school there. And I'm hoping that this for us will become a sustainability project at the Learning Forward Foundation, something we can actually do in a physical manner and create the joy of learning for children at the local level. So maybe from this fund, we can buy them the equipment they need for the Sunday school. Let us see, once we go there and Manisha ma'am comes back with some ideas, we will do that. So, but be sure for one thing, we're not going to use this money to pay for your retreat expenses. Please pay your retreat expenses. We want to put this money to real good use as to how it can have a lasting impact on the lives of children. And that's why the auditor suggested that in our books of accounts, we create a My Good School Retreat Fund, because they said this will become your major event as you evolve along, and you can use this fund over 5 years. So when you study law or when you study income tax, to get your income tax exemption of 80G and 12A, these are two sections in the Income Tax Act, you have to put aside funds to help others and not yourself. It can't be your expenses. To gain a not-for-profit tax relief, you have to show and actually exhibit your intent of doing social good. Am I right in explaining it that way, Jugdeep sir, to the interns?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so balance sheet is almost ready. We had the meeting yesterday with the auditors. So we will have it ready in time for the GSA meeting, and I'm sure we would have filed it by then also. That's where we are. So I thought this is an interesting session to tell interns about how we make accounts, what is the basics of getting a tax relief, and why this project for us for sustainable development at the village level, trying to offer good education, trying to understand the human-animal conflict, trying to understand nature, trying to understand and see how farming and forest are both essential for us. It will become a great project for us as we go along. And it may also reminiscence to what we have done last 10 years in Bali with the Fab India School. It's a very similar story. There also we're at the edge of the forest, we have a school. Here also we're at the edge of the forest, we have a school. And how the forest regenerates, how the water levels in the forest are kept alive. And it's after monsoon, what better time than to go to the retreat? Manisha ma'am, over to you.
Thank you everyone for joining the session. And as sir said, yes, it's going to be a fun nature excursion for you all. So you all are actually going to love this 3 days and 4 days what you are there with us. So do come and enjoy. There'll be lots of learning. Service projects will also be there. Sports will also be there. So when you go after this retreat, you will feel that, yes, you have become a really different person. So you'll be a changed person. You will try and understand how the people, those who are not being able to take care, like there are many parents, those who want to give best to the students, to their own kids, but somehow they are not going to do it because of some monetary crisis or something. So this is why we are going to this Khan farm for the retreat. We can help the students there in case they want some stationery or something. we'll be helping them out in that way, and it's going to be a good learning opportunity and session. I really want to say thank you to sir that he's giving this opportunity to all of us. And the next point is reflection. Don't take it as a homework. Reflection is not your homework. Reflection we are doing just to enhance your vocabulary, your convergent thinking, and your creative skills. This certainly is little different from what homework you are getting in the school. So homework in the school and the reflections here are not on the same page. It is totally different. I'm actually looking forward for all your reflections. Please submit. It will be published in some time. Check what is the reflection for today and get back. Any questions
Yes.
about the retreat? You can message
Yeah,
me directly.
Manisha ma'am, you left a very important message here. It may be a good idea to put together some stationery and take along for the children. Whatever little we can bring along, a few pencils, crayons. This may be a good
Maybe.
project. Yeah, Jugdeep
Exactly.
sir, what do you think? Maybe pull together small stationery items and take them for the children. Maybe that's a good start by us. So that I'm sure you have enough stationery at your end. If you can pull some along, some good stuff, and you can help them use it. Like if you get a geometry box, tell them how to use a geometry box. That's the next thing. Take something in which they can adapt and learn, which they can use. So it may be a good idea that we do a stationery collection drive, or we do a book collection drive where we take along some books and leave behind a bookshelf there. As simple as that. That's another way. So there are small doable things where, let us say 50 of us go, each of us carry a book to gift. Each of us carry a box of pencils to gift, which we can all decide beforehand that, okay, we will take this. We can decide these things. It's a very good idea, Manisha ma'am, for bringing this up. Books, stationery, notebooks. It will form a lot of help to the school in their little way. And just to mention here, the school fees is only 300 rupees a month, and they provide free pickup and drop from home on a bus. It answers a lot of questions.
Yep.
At 300 rupees a month, I don't think they take care of the bus only, forget anything else. So that's the school it is, and that's the joy of learning together. You are so privileged. Now, today you will realize that how much you have around you, how much you take it for granted. And look at that. 300 rupees a month, we are getting children to school, and we are trying to give them education. Our biggest challenge is we don't have passionate teachers. So we are hoping that you will become their role models. When you go now, you will establish connection with those children. And who knows, you may teach them in the Sunday schools to come. That itself will be your service. Who knows, Jugjeev sir and me may not be wanting to read next year, and you read to those children. That could become your service. We will work out how we can do whatever we can do remotely for them. We will, of course, do these doable things like sending material. We will do things that we go and teach them skills. We'll go sing, dance, or whatever. And even virtually, we can teach them singing and dancing in today's day. So you can do all that. Maybe in the week, you can volunteer. I will host a dance class for the school. I'm good at dance, so I'll dance. Why don't you guys dance with me? So I'm leaving aside thoughts for you to think as to how, as an intern, how, as a student of My Good School, this is your chance to actually feel for each other and establish why we are doing all this together. Manisha ma'am, thank you so much for giving this thought of putting together the stationery drive or something like that. And I leave it to your discussion with the interns. Is there anything you want to share from your meeting with the interns?
Yesterday evening, we had a meeting with the intern. Shubhangi was also present, and there were a couple of few students more. So we have just decided, we were just discussing about the activities which we can be doing there for the teachers, for the students, and how can we build up community together. So few activities were decided, and we are going to bring every activity, and it's been compiled and will be sent over to me in like 2 or 3 days. Secondly, My Good School's birthday is also there. So I requested them to plan something for My Good School birthday. Maybe one option which they can do is, how was their journey in My Good School as an intern? That video they can create, and we'll compile that video and just cut the birthday cake.
Lovely. We do this every year. I mean, they surprise us every year. I mean, in fact, this last 2 videos came as a surprise. They just came on that day. Happy birthday, My Good School. So there's a video somewhere which they created, and everyone wished My Good School happy birthday. I felt that was the biggest gift of God. So do celebrate My Good School. We were born on 1st of October. So I'm sure we were a day ahead of Gandhiji. So I hope we can do more work than Gandhiji could do, because all of you are there. All of you can add up to the deeds of the Mahatma and be the Mahatmas in yourself. And that's why this year we are meeting the man behind the Mahatma at the retreat. Thank you, Manisha ma'am. Thank you, Jugjeev sir. Shubhangi wrote
Bye.
something. Let us see. She just wrote a message there. Yeah, share them. Yeah. Thank you, sir and ma'am. Okay. God bless you, Shubhangi. Please give
Bye.
our love to everyone in Varanasi. Thank you, Devashri ma'am. Hello. How
Jai
are you?
Hind, sir. Jai Hind, ma'am. Manisha, ma'am,
Jai Hind,
I
ma'am.
apologize, ma'am. I was not well. I was on leave. So I will get back to you with the list of the interns. And 1st October is the birthday of my good school, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Looking forward. Let's plan something. Okay.
Lovely. So, Devashri ma'am, get all set. Now we are back from the exams. So please tell Varsha, Apeksha, and Deepa, update
Sure.
them with the information. Paul sir is planning to put together a delegation. He said coordinate in a way that they can all come together. So I think he's working on that. And then after you're coming here in November, Jugjeev sir and me are
That will be
coming
a
to
good
you in
thing.
December. I said we're also
Sure,
coming
sure.
there from 9 to 13
Physically
of
meeting is
December.
very, very necessary.
Yes, our dates are fixed.
Yeah.
9th December to 13th December. We are there in Varanasi. So if my good school children, you're doing anything else, don't do that. We are coming. Don't do anything else. 9th December to 13th December, Varanasi, here we come.
Over to it, sir. Welcome.
Thank you, ma'am. God bless you all. Have a great day. It's been a wonderful Sunday morning, Jugjeev sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Shubhangi.
Take
God
care.
bless you.
Take care.
Please wish everyone from
Take
our
care.
side.
Thank you, and then, sir.
Thank you, Manisha ma'am. We love you and have a good trip to the farm and the school. And let us know what you find there. I'm sure at the end of the rainbow, you will find gold.
Certainly.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.